So typically in this area, we're kind of in the cusp here between Central and West Texas. We're kind of the beginning of West Texas here. So we kind of enjoy a dry climate, and every now and then we have some seasonal humidity. But overall for this area, our humidity is relatively low. So when you start getting a KBDI reading of 575 or greater, that gives counties the ability to enact a burn ban. When things are sustained at 575 or greater for long periods of time, we get a lot of dry vegetation on the ground. It stays there, it dries out, and with our mix of winds here in West Texas, something as simple as discarding a cigarette could cause a large wildland fire, and then it could just be propelled by exacerbating wind conditions and that hot, dry seasonal grasses that we see and so forth. We start talking about the fireworks season. If you're already in a burn ban, a county judge can declare a local state of disaster and actually restrict the sale or use of fireworks in a particular county. It's happened recently over the past couple of years with the wildland fires and the drought conditions that we've seen in Central Texas. But they try to use that sparingly because there's a lot of money involved with fireworks, and it's a big industry, and it's the one time where people can go out and celebrate Americana. We're not required to follow the county burn ban because we have our own ordinances and so forth, but we try to get very mindful and recognize when they have a burn ban and try to put similar restrictions in place. So typically when there's a burn ban, get a lot of questions about grilling, outdoor grilling. And grilling is fine even during a burn ban. However, we want people to be smart and safe about it. So what we recommend is that you not use a combustible fuel source like wood or coal. We recommend you use propane. And the reason why we ask you to use a chemical is that way you can control it and you can cut the gas off if something happens. We're in a typical backyard here in San Angelo, Texas, and we've got our typical gas grill that we see. And in this instance, you can tell that the grill is in really close proximity to the house. So over here, we've got a wooden exterior finish. We have a wooden soffit and eaves. So this is really kind of a dangerous situation. It's not something we always like to see. So in a second, we're going to move this a proper distance. I've got my measuring tape here, so you can see that the distance here is just about 50 inches, a little over 4 feet. So we're in really way too close proximity. We do not have any type of cover in this area, so we're kind of in the middle here. This is not the best situation. So before we get started with our grilling, we want to really come back and look at the back. And as you can see, we have a typical gas grill that you'll see in many homes here. And we want to look at our connections. This is a little bit loose. We're going to tighten that on a little bit. We're going to look at our hose. The fittings here is tight. All these fittings are tight. Come back down here. Right now the grill's not being used, so we are in the closed position. That's good. And this is secured. You know, they make these grills now where they have cutouts so that you can fit your tank in. It's nice and secured, and we don't have to worry about any type of tipping over. Sometimes we use deep fat fryers and that type of thing during the holidays. So anytime we're using those, we want to make sure that we have a tank that is secured and is not going to be deemed vulnerable to tipping over. That's always important, because if it tips over, the valve could shear and then we're going to have loose gas. So if you come outside at any time and you are grilling, you always want to check your connections first. Make sure everything's nice and secured. Over time, these little rubber lines will crack, which requires some replacement. And this is a little bleeder valve here, and it just kind of helps regulate the oxygen flow with the fuel. So right now we're good and secure. The other thing is, once the grill is going, we want to make sure that we don't smell gas. If your grill is on and you smell gas, you want to back away immediately and call 911 and get the fire department on site to help you out. The other thing we want to look at is we have it's called a grease trap. You'll see these in many grills. This one right here, it's kind of stuck in place. It's got a lot of debris and residue. So this is a grill that presents the evidence needing to get it cleaned out. You've also got a drip tray back here, which is further. Got a lot of grease and fat. And so this can cause a fire. So if you get some fuel on here and you get any types of flames, you can have a full-blown fire just by the residue that's created here. So the next step is, so let's make this a safe thing to do. So now what we've done is we've moved this. We're approximately 10 feet away from the house, which is a very safe distance away from combustibles. If you look up, you'll notice that we're not around any other combustible items, no trees or anything like that. And what we've done here, we've checked our hoses. Everything looks good. We're just about ready. And then most important thing is we have a water hose handy. So you don't have to turn your water hose on, but you need to have a fire extinguisher or some water handy in case something happens, and you just want to have it in proximity. We have very dry conditions here in San Angelo. Even though we've had the previous rains, we need to make sure that we can handle any type of fire and go ahead and start mitigating our problems. So you don't have to turn the water on, but you got your hose handy. The grill is on a non-combustible surface. Even though we have some grass on each side of us, we've got the grill on a straight flat surface. So we can either put it on a concrete pad, put it on some paver stones, or some gravel. Anything that we can have that's a non-combustible surface, and we're ready to go. You need to call the fire marshal's office first. Okay, that's number one. You have to get a permit to burn from the fire marshal's office inside the city limits of San Angelo. And what we do with that is we have you come in because we want to go out and we want to look at what you're wanting to burn. We want to make sure you're not going to burn building materials or things that cause environmental issues. Typically the burning of brush, we want to go out and we want to look at it. We want to give you size recommendations for your pile. We want to make sure that you have some sort of fire break where you've either dug out or been able to remove anything in the immediate area that could catch on fire while this thing is going on. And we want to make sure that you have the ability to extinguish a fire if you need to. So some people in outlying areas of the city may be able to call a volunteer fire department to see if they'll stand by some of your local farmers and so forth. And most of the farmers have nice heavy equipment, so they're able to move stuff away, create fire breaks, move items away. But if we see somebody who wants to burn something and it's real close to their house, we're going to set some distance requirements, which is pretty hard to do in a residential setting. We're going to look at 300 feet. And we're going to look at, how safe are you going to be? What are you prepared to do this? Do you understand the size of how are you going to ignite it and light it? Those types of things. So we want to permit the process. We want to make sure that it's safe and that you're going to be successful with what you're doing, and we don't cause any serious bodily injury to anybody, and we don't have an accidental cause on a house or any type of structure. The best thing is to call 325-657-4358, call the fire marshal's office and ask for an inspector. Or ask to speak to the fire marshal, which is me, and let us talk to you about your information. Sometimes, though, we need to, it's hard for us to put together what you're requesting, what you're asking for, so without us making a site visit. So we may make a site visit. Now, those are free consultations. We don't charge you for just coming out to give you some information. We do have an inspection fee. But if you just want to find out general information, what you need to do, how to prepare, call the office. The other thing is that for business owners that are making a change to their business, or they're going to be adding on space or wanting to change configuration, we have a development review committee here. And development review committee consists of people from the fire marshal's office, planning and zoning, engineering, stormwater, and the building official's office. And that's a free of charge service where you can schedule a meeting. It's usually on Fridays. You can come to our office, you can put your building plans out, and you can just basically say, this is what I want to do. Is this acceptable? What do I have to do to make this happen? And then we can give you, well, these are some things you'll be looking at, or you may have some drainage issues, and we have somebody from every department there to help you put that into motion. And or you may find out that's not something you want to do. So that's really the best methods, is the DRC, the Development Review Committee, or just calling the office and making the inquiries and letting us talk to you. We don't want you to get down the road and end up having a problem that could cause an accident, a fire, or some other related emergency, when you could have just called here and just had a simple request, and we can give you the proper guidance to do it safely.